Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/oh no consequences, where a cheating wife is so upset that her husband actually moved on from her. Let's begin. Our first story was posted by Reddit user Aromatic Clue.
My now ex-friend, 27, Sarah, has been with her husband, 27, John, for over 10 years. Now, they aren't legally married, but call each other wife and husband. They have 2 children together. And in January, Sarah got caught cheating on John. It had been going on for a few months. She doesn't have a license or car. He would drop her off at work, and then she would leave with the guy afterward. There were times she said she was with someone, but she was actually with the guy. When she got caught, they were separated for a bit. Once she found out he reconnected with his high school ex on social media, she went and directly messaged her and said they were still together. He cheated on her instead. She cried to me about it, and I looked at her like, what? I told her, he only messaged that woman, and you're already this hurt? So imagine how he felt when he found out you've been doing stuff with this guy. She promised everyone she wouldn't do it again. Fast forward to May. She got caught cheating again, and this time he was done with her. They were still living together, so at first, the new guy would park in the street to pick her up. It eventually got to the point where he was confident enough to park in front of the house. She moved out in June, and that was the end of their marriage. On to October. Sarah found out he reconnected with his high school ex again, and they are now dating. She went full-on crazy and jealous mode. She told him, of all people, why her? She made up lies to the kids and everyone that he cheated on her with his high school ex. She was the reason why they broke up. During those times, she was trying hard to get back with John, but he wouldn't budge. She made up all kinds of excuses to talk to John. Sadly, she even stopped seeing her kids too. She would pick them up at least once or twice a month if they were lucky. Now, at this point, she was having problems with her new man. They were arguing every day, and it got to the point where he hit her a few times and chipped her tooth. She cried again to me. She told me she couldn't believe John would move on so quickly. Lately, John has been so mean to her and was always on his girlfriend's side. She even said he loved his girlfriend more than he ever loved her. Now, she even made me choose to not be friends with her. It was either her or John's girlfriend. Now, at this point, my husband is close friends, and there was not much I could do. And I told her, you cheated and messed up. You had it good with John, but because he wasn't what you wanted, you left him and your guys' kids. Now you found someone who hits you when John had never laid a hand on you. Needless to say, I'm glad my relationship with her is over. Edit. Some people are making complaints about my writing. Sorry, everyone. This isn't a grammar class here, nor is this a professional storytelling app. You guys read it and still understood the story fine. Geez, people are weird. English isn't my first language. I am Lao, so I hope that clears up the bad storytelling.
Ah yes, yet another classic example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The saddest thing about all of this is that she abandoned her kids over her own insecurities and jealousy in a situation that she created all on her own. Modern women are so entitled, so selfish that they would rather destroy a good marriage and a stable home for her children just so they could hop on some new dick they found exciting. What a fucking world we live in. Our second story was posted by Reddit user ThrowRA Family Left.
I apologize if there are any formatting issues. I messed up and put my son's age in and didn't have a proper throwaway account, so I had to repost several times. I am sorry for any mistakes. I have been unable to sleep and am really struggling. I feel emotionally drained. My wife, Amy, 35, left me, 36, after I was contacted by an ex and discovered I had a son. I tried to post his age, but my post gets removed, so I just want to clear up that he was born 3 years before I married my wife, and there was absolutely no overlap or cheating in my wife and I's relationship. This happened a month ago, and I requested a paternity test. Amy didn't say much while we waited for results, but agreed that if I was the father, I needed to be in my son's life in every way possible. 2 weeks ago, the results came back that I am the father, and immediately Amy said she wanted a divorce and began packing her and our children's belongings. I was confused and asked her why, but she just cried and said she loved me. Amy and I have been married for 10 years. Our marriage has been pretty damn close to perfect. No serious arguments, same goals, we've traveled the world together, we have a beautiful home, rewarding careers, and fantastic children together. I am so heartbroken that she's thrown everything away. I feel like my life has been destroyed. I have no clue what to do. I have begged and pleaded for therapy, and my wife refuses. She has started the divorce process. The next issue is custody of our children and terms of divorce. All 4 of our children are young, not even in school yet. She says if I agree to give her primary custody, she will let me have the house. She will not want child support and will give me all of our savings so I can raise my son as his mother is struggling. She also agreed to pay for some home help for me. I am disabled and need help occasionally during flare-ups, which she usually provides. I told her I could afford it on my own, but she insists, as she says she wants to help out since she won't be there. She will move across the country with our children, but said she will bring them for at least 2 weeks every 2 months so I can have a relationship with them and will pay for me to fly out to see them whenever I want. I don't know what to do. I have no family to discuss this with because 2 of mine and Amy's children are adopted, and my parents and extended family think my biological son is more important than them, which is obviously untrue. It makes me feel horrible, but I don't even know my son. It feels like I'm losing everything for a person I don't know. And I know he's a child, and I shouldn't feel that way. But all I ever wanted was my wife and kids. And while I will love my son and take care of him, I don't feel like he is my kid yet, just because I haven't really had time to get to know him. A month ago, I wouldn't have recognized him if I saw him on the street. I feel so much guilt for feeling this way. Amy and I both are fairly well off, but she is more so than me. She offered to hire me a lawyer of my choosing if I don't agree with her terms. I told her again I could afford it, but she says she just wants to make sure I get a fair deal. But I just can't. I don't want to divorce or lose my children. I love my wife and children more than anything. I just don't understand her motives or why she is doing this. It feels like I have to pick my son or my wife and our shared kids. I keep trying to make sense of it in my mind. She will not tell me any reason for wanting to get divorced. She is even being incredibly nice to my son. His birthday had recently passed, and she got him a new game system. They haven't met. She said to say it was from myself and his siblings. She even told me what her nephew, same age as my son, is into, so that I can get things my son might like. I don't even know what advice I'm looking for. It feels like my life has been completely ruined. I'm in therapy, but it doesn't seem to help. A month ago, my wife and I were planning on trying for another baby and picking our next vacation spot, and now I'm going to be divorced. How do I move on? How do I not unfairly resent my son when I know it's not his fault? I keep hoping there's a way to convince her to stay, but I don't even know what the problem really is. I'm hoping someone else has been through learning they have a child after 10 plus years and knows where to start, or what I can do to either move on or convince my wife that this doesn't have to happen. Any advice at all is appreciated, though. TLDR. My wife is leaving me after I found out I have a child from a previous relationship. I risk losing custody of my children and don't even know why she wants a divorce. Now for OP's first update. I have not asked my wife to be a caregiver to me. I rarely have flare-ups bad enough that I need a caregiver, maybe once a month on a bad year to a few times a year. And my wife was insistent our entire relationship on caring for me because she wanted to when I did need help. If she was burnt out or stressed, there was always an option to hire help. She was the one who did not want home help. We divided our workload equally in our household and had a nanny that assisted us with much of the housework as well as regular cleaners, etc. As far as finances, while she earns more money than I do, we are both quite well off. We both work around the same amount of hours and contribute equally to household bills. I believe if my wife was unhappy, she would have said something. We have never had any issues in our relationship, and any problems that arose, she would communicate to me, and we would work together to solve. We always did check-ins in our relationship to make sure we were on the same page and could communicate in a healthy way. The more I hear stories from commenters, the more I believe she just did not want to be a step-parent. Second, while I have no way of proving that my wife was not cheating, I do not believe she was. We regularly used each other's phones, spent a majority of our time together, and she has never given me a reason to be suspicious. Another thing mentioned is that she is jealous because she is infertile. This is not the case. We were actually getting prepared to have another biological baby of our own before this happened. My wife has no plans to move immediately. Once we found out paternity and she said she wanted a divorce, she wanted to be closer to her family. They are located across the country. I do not believe there is another man or anything else, as her family would not approve of dating or remarriage since they are quite religious. From my understanding, she has no solid plans as of yet, because she wants to make sure we have a custody agreement we are both happy with and both believe is fair. I am in contact with a lawyer now. I told my wife I did not find what she wanted to be fair in terms of custody, and we are now trying to figure out how we could have court-mandated 50-50 long-distance custody, with her paying the travel fees and associated costs. I know I have been downvoted many times for believing my wife, and no doubt I probably am an idiot, and have received many messages calling her names and saying what a bad person she is. I know I sound ridiculous, but I still feel the urge to defend her. I do not feel like she is trying to steal my children or punish me. She has never been that kind of person. She is the kind of person who keeps packages of supplies in her car for homeless people she sees. The type of person who spends her free time trapping feral cats to get them neutered and seen by a vet. She is the one who gives a large sum of her salary to charity and spends hours every week volunteering. She is the type of person who made sure the children we fostered saw their biological family more than state-mandated supervised visits and used her own time and resources to make it happen. She is genuinely the best mother I know. She has gone out of her way to explain to our children that while we may not live together anymore, and I may have a new member in my family, that I will always be involved in their life and love them very much. And while it is hard for me to understand why she made this choice, it is also hard for me to believe she has become a person of malice. Many of your comments have said to ask for a trial separation and ask for court-mandated therapy. I have mentioned those things and she is still refusing. I plan on asking my lawyer about it and hoping we can move forward, if nothing else, as healthy co-parents. It is incredibly heartbreaking to see all of the comments saying that they would leave if they were in her position as well. Although I can understand your point of view, it is incredibly hard to live through it. I love my wife and children more than anything, and it is soul-wrenching to lose them to something that is also a surprise for me. I appreciate all of your advice and will keep you updated as best as I can, although I do not expect to be able to update for some time, as I do not expect this divorce to be finalized for some time. Thank you all so much for sharing your experiences with me, listening to me vent, and giving advice. And now for OP's final update. It has been over a year since my original post. Since then, my life has completely changed. Some days it is very hard, but all things considered, I am doing well. The biggest change is that my wife and I divorced. She moved with our shared children to the opposite coast to be near her family. We had an easy split as we both agreed it was best for our family. I am very thankful for that. However, it is difficult not to see all of my kids. The first month was the hardest, especially as we did not want to divorce and we had a hard time not treating each other like spouses, which delayed our healing. My son is doing much better now that it is just the two of us. After our divorce, my son opened up about her in therapy. I now understand much more about his behavior. He is much happier now as an only child as well. He is really thriving with my attention. He is still struggling with his mental health, but his care team sees progress, as do I. My other kids have seemingly forgotten my existence, which hurts, but is also better than them being sad about the situation. I constantly try to call them, but at their age, I get about 5 words in before they lose interest. My ex-wife and in-laws try to get them to stay on the phone and talk to me, but there is only so much connection you can have over the phone with kids their age. They seem happy, which is all I can ask for. I am at peace knowing that both my son and my younger kids have someone that loves them in their lives. I miss my family, but I feel I made the right choice for them and my son. After our divorce, I asked my ex-wife to lay it on the line. Why did she want to leave before even meeting my son? She had written me pretty consistent letters from the day we found out until the day we divorced. She gave them to me once our divorce was finished. I read over them several times. She gave several reasons for wanting to split. She felt she had chosen me to have a family with, and I had already had a family. If she had wanted strangers in her life, she would have married a man with kids the first time. She specifically chose someone without kids and felt she made a mistake, as now other people would have some control over our lives and a stranger would be in our home. She loved our life, marriage, and knew it was all about to change because of my past decisions. She also said she knew that kids coming out of situations like his were likely to have trauma. She underlined many times that while I was a good person, she knew I'd throw our family under the bus to make up for something I had no control over. I wrote to her to tell her she was right and that I was sorry things turned out how they did. Overall, I am happy. I don't regret my decisions. My son is thriving with me, and my other kids have a great mother and maternal family. I hope my son continues to improve, and I selfishly hope that as time passes and he gets older and more stable, I will be able to reconnect with my wife and be involved with my other kids. I appreciate everyone who reached out with advice.
You know, OP, your wife was right leaving you. While your son does indeed need you, you gave up custody of your other kids and just abandoned them for the sake of your oldest. Your wife knew you well enough to choose her kids over the mess you would have created if she stayed with you. And for those of you wondering, OP made a series of posts about his son's dangerous behaviors. That kid needs therapy, and I mean a lot of therapy. I'll give you a summary of what this kid did that made me believe OP's wife did the right thing leaving him. His son is unreasonably violent towards others. He stole a laptop and tried selling it at school. He's abusive towards his grandmother, steals her medication, and pushed a younger sibling who cannot swim, by the way, into the pool. His son also peed in his 4-year-old sister's bed, pinched another of the young siblings so hard that it left a huge bruise. The other siblings are so terrorized that they're scared of his son whenever he's nearby. And arguably the worst thing that his son did was took pictures and videos of his wife in the shower and then sent them to his classmates. Yikes. Like I said, lots and lots of therapy. If I was your wife, OP, I would leave you too, for the sake of my and my children's own safety. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.